According to the hotel incident log at 12:43 p.m., the lunch rush at the Fairmont Ellison's mezzanine restaurant had peaked when an elderly man in a tailored blazer stepped into the aisle and began moving his hands with urgency. Witnesses stated he did not speak. Security started in from the lobby. A busser froze with a tray of water glasses. Jamal Carter, a black waiter in a pressed white shirt and a black tie, was mid-pour at table 14 when he noticed the man's hands. He set the carafe down and lifted both palms to show calm. His fingers began to shape clear signs. The nearest phone camera caught the moment his expression changed, the small nod of recognition. The man's hands, fast, precise. Jamal's reply, slower, careful. The dining room noise thinned as people realized there was a conversation most of them could not hear. Jamal later told an officer that he signed, "Help, I'm not safe with them. My son won't listen. My head is spinning. They messed with my medicine." A guard reached for the man's elbow. Jamal stepped between them, palms open. "He's deaf. Give us space." A manager's voice tight. "Jamal, we have VIPs on 2. Handle your section." Jamal kept signing, eyes on the man. "Do you want paramedics?" The man answered with a decisive nod, then traced the outline of a phone with 2 fingers and shook his head. No phone. According to witnesses near the bar, the guard said, "That's Mr. Hale. He's fine. Mr. Hale's father, the Mr. Hale." The name traveled like static. Hale, as in Hale Systems, Hale Logistics, Hale where the lobby screens displayed a sponsorship plaque. The manager lowered her voice, glancing at the lobby where 2 men in suits were entering. "We'll call private security. Family handles this." Jamal's reply was slow and measured, almost like a line he had rehearsed. "Per ADA, we call 911 and request a qualified interpreter. He is asking for medical help." The man, thin white hair, square jaw, eyes bright with the sharpness of someone used to being believed, held Jamal's sleeve with 2 fingertips and signed, "Stay." A busser set down their glasses on the nearest table, and 2 of them chimed together, a clear bell in the tension. According to the incident report, Jamal pressed the wall phone's red button and said, "How, medical please? Deaf patient requesting assistance and interpreter. Conscious, dizzy, no obvious bleeding, lobby level." On video, a diner whispered, "That's the billionaire's father. What is he doing here?" Another voice, "He's deaf?" Jamal kept his hands moving. "My name is Jamal. I'll stay until an interpreter arrives. You're safe here." It was unclear then that these were the first minutes of a story that would show the strange math of power. Money plus silence equals more silence until someone refuses it. The elderly man breathed, slow, like he was measuring air. He squeezed Jamal's wrist once, and then he signed his name with an old-fashioned courtesy the camera captured but most viewers later missed. Roscoe. Mr. Roscoe Hale. A gentle note for our audience. This story is a work of fiction. All characters and events are imaginary. Like and subscribe for more stories that challenge prejudice and celebrate courage. 2 men in dark suits appeared at the lobby threshold just as the elevator doors opened for paramedics. Witnesses stated one of the men flashed a badge from a private executive protection firm. The other, a publicist, lifted his phone and began a low, continuous call speak. "We have eyes on him. We're stabilizing. Please advise." Jamal kept his body angled to block the guard's reach. He signed to Mr. Hale. "Paramedics here," interpreter requested. "Do you want to wait inside or go to lobby?" Mr. Hale traced a small square in the air. "Table," then pointed down. "Stay." The manager of the restaurant approached, voice pitched calm for patrons. "Sir, our team can move you to a private room." Jamal translated to Mr. Hale. Mr. Hale signed, "No back rooms. Here." Then he slid his gaze to the men in suits. "Know him," he pointed at the protection agent. The agent said, "With respect, sir, this is the property of a partner. We have a duty to assist Mr. Hale." His voice had that strength that expects compliance. A woman in a slate blazer arrived, hair pulled back, eyes scanning for cameras. "I'm Claudia from Hale Communications. We can transport Mr. Hale to a private care facility. There's no need for a scene." Her smile did not reach her eyes. The paramedics stepped in, cheerful and brisk. One of them held up an iPad with a teleinterpretation app already loading. "Sir, we've got an ASL interpreter connecting." She tapped, waited. Thin blues from the ambulance lights touched the linen tablecloths. On the iPad, a woman's face appeared. "Interpreter connected. Hello, can you see me?" She signed with clean, clear movements. The room exhaled. Jamal's hands rested. He took half a step back, still close. He was careful with the paramedics. "I'm not certified. I can support until you're set." Mr. Hale signed into the iPad camera. Jamal watched the interpreter's translation. "I am Roscoe Hale. I feel lightheaded. I think my medication was changed without my consent. My son's staff took my phone. They said it was for safety. I want to go to a hospital. I don't want them to take me anywhere private." He pointed to the suits. Claudia smiled, Wider now, voice soothing. Mr. Hale sometimes confuses details. He has excellent care at home. The interpreter signed Claudia's words to Mr. Hale. He blinked once, slow, signed, I know what I say. Stop. According to a server who had stepped into the kitchen and then back out with a coffee they didn't pour, the room had gone so quiet they could hear the elevator's counterweight. The paramedic made a decision in her voice and posture. We'll transport to County General. Consent is clear. If a family member wants to follow, that's fine. But he goes with us. The protection agent tried a different tack. At least let me accompany him in the ambulance. We can't do that unless the patient requests it, the paramedic replied. She looked at Mr. Hale and signed with the iPad, interpreter's help. Do you want him to ride with you? Mr. Hale shook his head and signed to Jamal. You? Jamal hesitated, glanced at his manager. The manager's mouth tightened. We're down 2 today, Jamal. We can't spare you. He looked at the paramedics, at Mr. Hale, at the smartphone lenses that had moved in, then stopped a respectful 10 feet away. He said carefully to his manager, If I leave, I know it's my job, but he asked me. He needs someone he understands until the interpreter is set at the hospital. You'll clock out if you walk out, the manager said, and sign a liability waiver before you go. It was a strange, small packet of words to hold the weight of a decision. Jamal removed his apron and folded it on a chair. Get the waiver. According to witnesses at the lobby fountain, the path from the restaurant to the ambulance was a corridor of eyes and phones reflected in glass. Jamal held his palms up to the crowd like he was parting water, then slid his hand low to cue Mr. Hale to step carefully. Claudia moved alongside, her voice pitched for the cameras. Mr. Hale is receiving the best care. We ask for privacy at this time. The interpreter's voice from the iPad echoed, Privacy, please. The repetition smeared into the air, soft and meaningless. The security agent walked backward, scanning for threats that looked nothing like what was actually happening. Outside, the ambulance door opened. Jamal helped Mr. Hale step up. A paramedic offered a blanket. The interpreter's face on the iPad kept her gaze steady, like a lighthouse screen. The billionaire himself, Ethan Hale, arrived as the ambulance doors were closing. Witnesses described a young man with perfect posture, a neutral tie, and a phone still in his palm like an extra finger. He said, "Do what?" But his head turned to the paramedic when the doors clicked. The paramedic lifted her chin. We'll be at County General, he consented. Ethan's jaw shifted once, the movement a small admission that some things can't be purchased by surprise. I'll meet you there. He looked at Jamal and seemed to clock him for the first time, scanning for a role. Busser, waiter, barrier. You're coming? Jamal said, he asked me to. I'll step out once the hospital interpreter takes over. Ethan nodded once, a muscle twitch. Thank you, he said, the words more functional than grateful. The ambulance door shut. The siren did not wail, it pulsed. It moved away, the crowd still, like it was watching a crane lift something delicate. Later, according to the tastefully worded post on Hale's corporate channels, Mr. Hale had experienced a minor medication-related episode and was receiving excellent care. The post did not mention a waiter by name. In the back of the ambulance, Jamal sat with his knees braced. He signed slowly with the interpreter's help. You're doing well. We'll go to a public hospital. They have interpreters. The doctor will ask you directly. Mr. Hale stared at Jamal's hands and signed a phrase that needed no translation. People think deaf means dumb. Then, you sign where from? Jamal said. My neighbor in South Ridge is deaf. We took classes at the community center. I'm not certified. He paused, then let the truth be simple. I just learned to listen. Mr. Hale signed. Listening isn't ears, it's respect. According to EMS radio logs, the medic spoke into her shoulder mic. Elderly male, dizzy, possible med interaction, vital stable, ETA 7 minutes, requesting in-person ASL if available. Jamal looked back through the small window. The city rolled by in sheets of glass and trees. He had left a shift, a paycheck, a manager's approval. In the ambulance light, Mr. Hale's hands stacked neatly together on the blanket, then lifted again. You stayed. Yes, Jamal signed. You asked. In the ER intake corridor, the hospital's fluorescent buzz hung over it all. The interpreter on the iPad introduced herself by name again. An in-person interpreter's on the way. I'll stay until then. According to the triage note timestamped 2:17 p.m., Mr. Hale's blood pressure sat a touch high, heart rate steady, oxygen good. The nurse spoke directly to Mr. Hale and watched the interpreter relay. It was a small, correct thing. What medications do you take? The nurse asked. Mr. Hale clasped his fingers, then separated them, signing the names he knew. The interpreter voiced them. The nurse typed and nodded. Did someone change your meds recently? Mr. Hale nodded and signed. Caregiver, new nurse. Said doctor approved. I said no. They did anyway. I felt dizzy. I wanted my phone. They said later. They locked the garden gate. His hands clipped, efficient even in fear. Jamal leaned back, his hands at rest, eyes on Mr. Hale's face. He was careful not to speak unless asked. He was not here to be the voice, only to keep a human tether from snapping. Ethan Hale arrived at 2:29 p.m. with 2 assistants in his slipstream. He stopped at the curtain, looked at his father, and then at Jamal. He exhaled. "Dad, I'm here." The interpreter signed his words. Mr. Hale looked over. He signed, "You arrived after the cameras." And then he extends a palm. "Sit. Listen." The interpreter's voice carried the blunt dignity across the space. "I told your team that Dad has consented to a hospital evaluation," the paramedic said. "We'll let the doctor handle it from here." Ethan set his phone face down on the counter. That small gesture pinged. He said, our home care team has clear instructions. If any of them—" He stopped, looked for a safe clause. "We'll review." The doctor arrived with a brisk nod and a rolling stool. She addressed Mr. Hale. "I'm Dr. Patel. I'll be your doctor today. I'll ask questions to you. If you consent, I'll also talk to your son afterward." Mr. Hale signed, "Yes, thank you, I can decide." Dr. Patel reviewed his meds, ordered a blood panel, and a tox screen for levels. She asked about past events. Mr. Hale signed that his hearing loss came after a childhood illness, that he managed independently for decades, that he ran the first branch of a family shipping business until he retired. "I still decide where I live," he signed. According to the ED's internal note, later summarized for discharge, the in-person interpreter arrived at 2:44 p.m., relieving the iPad session. Jamal exhaled in a visible shift of shoulders. The interpreter, a tall woman with a steady gaze, took position where Mr. Hale could see her and the doctor. She signed to Jamal. "Thank you for staying," Jamal said softly. He asked, "I'll wait outside now." He stepped into the hallway, leaving space. In the hall, Ethan said to Jamal, "Who are you exactly?" It wasn't unkind. It was literal. "I serve Table 14 on weekends, and I live 5 blocks from the South Ridge Community Center," Jamal said. "My neighbor is deaf. We take classes." Ethan blinked. He looked like a man whose meetings had never prepared him to stand in a hospital hallway and feel ignorant. "I didn't know, Dad." He stopped, then carefully. "I knew he signed when I was a kid. I forgot. Or I stopped trying." "You can learn again," Jamal said. It sounded impossibly simple and absolutely true. The first lab results came back with numbers that lived on a thin line between concern and context. According to the hospital's preliminary report, there were elevated levels of a sedative Mr. Hale wasn't normally prescribed. Dr. Patel said, with the interpreter's help, "This could explain the dizziness. We'll confirm with your primary physician who ordered this." Mr. Hale signed, "Not my doctor, new nurse, new manager. They switch things and say it's for compliance. I say no. They say sign here." He mimed a pen scrawl and shook his head. Ethan stepped forward, lips pressed. "We employ a home care agency. They're accredited. They have protocols." He was talking to the room and to himself. "Ooh." The interpreter signed his words for Mr. Hale. Mr. Hale signed back. "You signed papers. You didn't watch me read them. You think I am tired of deciding? I am not." He tapped his chest twice. The assistant at Ethan's shoulder began typing. The hospital hallway's fluorescent hum grew heavy. Jamal stood at the curtain edge, a shadow that had decided to be here and was still deciding what that meant. A nurse approached him, voice low. "You don't have to stay now." "I know," Jamal said. He didn't move. According to internal emails later reviewed by a local reporter, the hotel's management messaged Hale Communications at 2:57 p.m. "Our employee left shift to accompany Mr. Hale Sr. Please confirm liability release. We support any statement de-emphasizing the incident's public nature." The phrase de-emphasizing the incident reappeared in 3 different drafts, like a mantra against embarrassment. In an interview days later, Jamal said, "I knew what a liability release was. I knew I needed money to pay rent. I also knew he asked me to stay. One of those held more weight in my hands right then." Dr. Patel stepped out to speak to Ethan privately. "We'll do a capacity assessment. If he's alert, oriented, and has no cognitive impairment, he can consent to his own care and decide his discharge plan. That's the law." Ethan nodded. He said it too softly to be a statement. "Of course." The in-person interpreter, after a brief glance at Jamal, said quietly, "If you'd like, I can connect you with classes and resources. For your father, for your team." Ethan looked at her, at Jamal, at the curtain between him and his father. He put his phone in his pocket and left it there. "Yes," he said, "and please." The capacity assessment unfolded in careful steps: orientation, memory, reasoning. With the interpreter's help, Dr. Patel asked Mr. Hale where he was, what day it was, why he was there. He answered with clarity that felt like a line drawn with a straight edge. According to the notes, Mr. Hale articulated his understanding of the risks of declining private care transport and the benefits of evaluation in a public hospital. He identified his son and his son's role, then specified the names of 2 caregivers he trusted and 1 he did not. He spelled the one he did not trust, letter by letter. He's oriented, Dr. Patel said. He consents. We'll continue to monitor, adjust meds, and observe overnight. I'm also filing a report to Adult Protective Services to review the home care arrangement, given the allegation of medication changes without consent. Ethan's gaze went flat for a moment, the look of a man calculating headlines. Then it softened, not in surrender but in recognition. Thank you for taking care of him, he said to Dr. Patel, and then, after a beat, to Jamal as well. The interpreter moved with the rhythm of the conversation, hands bright and precise. She signed to Mr. Hale what APS meant, what a review could involve. Mr. Hale nodded. Look into it, not to punish, to stop them doing it again. According to a later statement from the home care agency, they denied any wrongdoing and stated they had followed physician orders. Mr. Hale's primary physician would later confirm he had not ordered a change in sedatives. In the late afternoon light, the hospital room held a particular quiet. Jamal stood near the window. He murmured to the interpreter, "Is it okay if I say goodbye?" "Yes, he's been asking with his eyes where you are," she said. Jamal stepped into view. Mr. Hale lifted his chin. He signed, "You stayed long? You have a shift?" "I did," Jamal signed. "I don't know if I still do." He smiled a little. "It was worth it." Mr. Hale signed, "People think money can command listening. It can only command quiet. You didn't quiet. You listened." He tilted his head, eyes narrowing, considering. "What do you want to do? This is a big hotel. Do you want to serve forever?" Jamal shrugged, the motion contained. "I want to cook, and I like to be useful. I like signing. I like that my neighbor and I can talk without sound." Mr. Hale raised an eyebrow, the expression dry as paper. "Then do those. Cook, sign, be useful in public, where it matters." Ethan, from the doorway, watched the exchange and then stepped forward. "Jamal, I'd like to make sure you don't lose your job because of this. And I'd like to talk about—" He looked at his father, then said it. "About learning to listen better, properly. Talk to the manager," Jamal said. "And talk to the people who work for you and with your father. Ask them to learn too." Ethan nodded once. "I will." The first clip went viral by dinner. It showed a black waiter in a white shirt signing to a powerful man's father, while the bodyguards stood with their hands full of nothing. The caption wrote the story in 3 sentences and a few wrong guesses. The view count did what numbers do when people recognize a story they want to be true. According to Jamal's neighbor, who texted him 27 times that evening, the comments flooded with choruses. "Hero," "Protect him," and also with counter choruses. "He shouldn't have gotten involved," "Clout chaser," "Waiters should wait, not intervene." Jamal did not post, he did not go on alive, he did not monetize. When a reporter called his phone number, he said, "This isn't my story to tell on camera. It's Mr. Hale's health information. The hospital's handling it. I stayed because he asked. That's it." Ethan's PR team issued a second statement. "We are grateful to the Fairmont Ellison staff member who assisted Mr. Hale Sr. today. We are reviewing our internal care protocols and have engaged an independent advocate to ensure our processes empower Mr. Hale Sr." In the hospital room, Mr. Hale signed to the interpreter and to his son. "No more posts, no more statements about me without me. If you write my name, it's because I wrote it too." He took a pen and wrote his name on a notepad with a steady hand. That night, Dr. Patel adjusted his medications and sent consults to a geriatric pharmacist. The in-person interpreter returned for an evening round, then left a resource packet at the bedside. According to a late-night phone call between the restaurant manager and corporate, there was talk of suspension, talk of commendation, and talk of liability, all braided into a conversation that sounded like indecision. The manager, who had watched the video at home on her couch with a hand over her mouth, texted Jamal, "We'll talk tomorrow, rest," and "Thank you." By morning, an advocacy attorney named Priya Singh sat at a small table with Mr. Hale and Ethan and the interpreter. She spoke in calm, clear phrases, her eyes in alignment with the interpreter's hands. "Mr. Hale, you have options. If you have concerns about your home care arrangement, we can request a review and change providers. If there are guardianship or power of attorney documents in place that you feel restrict your rights, we can petition to modify. There is a tool called supported decision-making that allows you to designate people to help you understand choices without surrendering your decision-making power. The interpreter signed with crisp emphasis on the crucial terms. Mr. Hale nodded and signed, "I want help to understand, not to be overruled." He tapped "help" into the air with his palm under his fist, decisive and ironical. Ethan listened without interrupting. When he spoke, he did so carefully. "Dad, I thought I was protecting you, but if protecting you means taking your phone or changing your meds without you agreeing, that's not protection. That's control. I'm sorry." He felt the apology like a task he could not delegate. Mr. Hale's hands moved less now, but with more gravity. "Then we change it. You will still be my son. You will still help me, but you will not be my guard." According to internal documents at Hale's corporate offices obtained by a reporter weeks later, Ethan met with his team and initiated a company-wide audit of accessibility practices, including ASL access for employees and clients, captioning of videos, and mandatory training on disability rights. A line item appeared, Scholarship Fund for Community Interpreter Training, named TBD. At the restaurant, the manager sat with Jamal at a table during a quiet hour. "You walked out in the middle of a rush. That's a policy violation," she said. She looked at his face and then down at a printout of the video's comment section. It was also the right thing to do. She slid across the table a letter. "We're not suspending you. We're updating our policy. From now on, if a guest requests help in a medical emergency and you are the person they ask for, you can accompany them until medical staff take over. We'll clock you out, but you won't be penalized." Jamal read the letter, scanned it twice. "Thank you," he said. The manager added, quieter, "Corporate also wants to offer to cover a certification course if you want to pursue interpreting. If you want to be a chef, I'll write a recommendation. But I think you have something with this," she said, gesturing at his hands. "I want to do both," Jamal said. "I want to be a chef who signs. I want to work where people talk to each other in whatever language they have." Mr. Hale discharged after 2 days with adjusted meds and a care plan he approved. He selected a new agency with the advocate's guidance. He instructed his son to schedule weekly check-ins that were conversations, not reports. According to a brief filed by Adult Protective Services, the previous agency was cited for documentation irregularities and for failing to obtain proper consent for medication changes. They agreed to corrective action and additional training. Ethan announced a partnership with the Southridge Community Center to fund interpreter scholarships and ASL classes for hospitality workers. The press release was short, almost self-effacing. A small photo showed Ethan and Jamal shaking hands in front of a community center bulletin board crowded with flyers for ESL classes and a food pantry schedule. Jamal started a beginner ASL class on Tuesday nights. He brought food from the hotel kitchen with the chef's blessing. On the second week, the restaurant manager showed up. On the third, one of the guards did. By the fourth, a busser practiced the sign for check with a grin. Conversations bloomed where silence had pretended to be order. Mr. Hale attended one session, sat in the back, watched his son try. When it came time for introductions, he signed his name again, Roscoe, slow and precise. He signed, "I am here to watch my son remember, and to thank the man who did not look away." He turned to Jamal and signed the simplest sentence in the room, "You saw me." On the sidewalk outside the community center that evening, the air was soft. Jamal stood with Ethan for a minute that was not about money. "We named the scholarship," Ethan said, looking at the sky like it could steady him, "the Carter Hale Fund, if you're okay with that." Jamal exhaled and shook his head once. "Call it the Listen Fund. Names are loud, listening is quiet and long." Ethan smiled, the first unguarded one of the story. "The Listen Fund it is." Months later, the camera in our minds, the one constructed from interviews, documents, and witness statements, finds a classroom at the Southridge Community Center. A chalkboard, hands moving, the warm spill of evening through high windows. Jamal stands at the front, showing a room of hotel staff, delivery workers, and a billionaire how to sign respect. Palms near each other, a small bow, not of the head, but of the hands. According to the class roster, there are names from all corners of the city. According to the community center's snack log, someone brought samosas, someone brought lemonade, and someone brought a story about a bus delay that became funny when told with hands. Mr. Hale sits near the door, on a chair with arms. He watches without interrupting, his fingers occasionally rubbing a coin he keeps in his pocket like a metronome of attention. During a break, a participant asks Jamal, "What did you say that made him trust you?" Jamal signs, and then says for those who are still learning, slow and clear, "I didn't say much. I made space. I said I would stay. Sometimes that's the whole sentence." He looks at Ethan, who catches the sign and nods, and then looks at his father, who signs the last word of the night. Enough, he grins. Enough good for now, more next week. If you're looking for the moral, there isn't one that sounds clean in a quote box. There's a practice. People deserve to be asked directly, even when they're old, even when money floats around them like weather, even when their silence is unchosen. There's a measure. Listening is labor you can see. And there's a reversal that is not a twist but a correction. The person underestimated as background turned out to be the one who moved the story forward, not with a shout, but with hands and presence. The last image is Jamal closing the classroom door, the room still warm with air and effort. He turns off the light, and it is not a blackout, so much as a soft acknowledgement that the work continues. A gentle note for our audience. This story is a work of fiction. All characters and events are imaginary. Like and subscribe for more stories that challenge prejudice and celebrate courage. And because in stories like this, a single sentence can stay longer than a siren, here's one that did. We are all fluent when we decide to listen.